Alright, y'all. I am sorry for the delay. I always say I'm going to come back sooner, and then I don't. But luckily, I'm not missing out on today, which is great because it is May 22nd, which means I am 3 years on T. I'll give you all a quick life update. The biggest thing is that I moved again at the end of July, beginning of August. So this is a different space than what you saw me in my last video. And hopefully I'll still be here when I make this video for year 4. Other than that, I'm about a year and 5.5 months post top surgery, and I'll show you the results later on in this video. Other than that, we can get into the update. So, first things first, usually I include clips comparing my voice from year to year. I'm not going to do that this time. Instead, I'm going to make sure that my 2 years on T video is linked so that you all can check that out for yourself and hear the difference. So instead, I'll move on to facial hair. So my mustache is definitely thicker than it was a year ago. And the same applies for the hair on my cheeks and on my chin. The biggest thing to know about my chin hair is that this part in the middle used to be like pretty bare, and now it's starting to fill in, which is pretty great. And then the facial hair on my cheeks is starting to come up some, higher on my cheek. I have pretty defined sideburns on both sides, and I'm also getting some hair under my lip too. And so what I'm looking forward to in this next year is to see if the mustache starts coming down to connect with the hair on my chin. Just so you all know, I have not and do not use minoxidil / Rogaine. I know it works for a lot of people, and if that's what you need and want to do, I'm totally in support of it. But for me, myself, I didn't want to do anything that would be sensitive for my skin. But also, I just kind of wanted to see what my body would do on its own, and I've been pretty happy with my progress so far. Speaking of hair, let's go on to my hairline. So hairline has obviously changed since before T. Biggest issue areas have been the temple area. I don't think it's really changed that much compared to last year, but again, go ahead and click back to my 2-year on T video to see. There are a couple of spots where the locks are a little bit thinner than I would like, especially near the front of my head, but in general, compared to what it was like before I was regularly going to my loctician, it's not bad at all. And so I'm going to continue to go into her, continue making sure that my hair is healthy and strong. I don't have any plans to cut it, so I'm in it for the long haul. But it's still growing, so I'm pretty happy. So, voice. Again, I want you all to go click back to my last video to check out what I sounded like a year ago. I do think sometimes my voice is still changing. It's hard for me to tell though, so if you all notice a difference, please be sure to drop it in the comments. Alright, so now let's move on to like body. So I would say, compared to pre-T, I've definitely gotten smaller. And by smaller, I just mean that like my curves are just different. Like they're more like this instead of like an hourglass figure. And in general, I can fit smaller jeans. I was previously wearing a 42, and now I'm like a 36. My shirts, all the ones that I had pre-top surgery, are actually too big at this point. This is like an example of one of them where like there's a lot of space, but I like the color, it's comfy, so I've kept a lot of the shirts even though they're bigger than what they should be. But something that I have noticed is that I'm putting on a lot more muscle, and I can just kind of tell that my body's filling out more, so the way that shirts fit on my shoulders is pretty nice. But I'm also like noticing more definition in my arms. So if you look closely, you can see a little bit of definition. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you all what my chest looks like. And again, I'm a year and about 5.5 months post top surgery. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is that compared to last year, the color has pretty much come back nearly fully. Last year, this was still kind of pink, and there's still a little bit that needs to fill in, but for the most part, the color is completely back. The color was filled in this one pretty much almost entirely by my 2 years on team. If you look really closely, you can see the scars, but these ones are continuing to like blend in and fade. And actually over here, the scars are so flat and have blended in so well that like this little patch right here, you can barely see it. And so what I'm focusing on now when I massage my scars, and I use the same healing salve that I was using a year ago, I just basically massage the healing solvent like this, and I am just applying pressure to break up the scar tissue so that it continues to lay flat. But yeah, I can flex, and in general, like, it's coming along pretty well. You can kind of see a little bit more definition in my traps too. I mainly have just been trying to keep up with some kind of routine for fitness, especially during this quarantine, because I was going a minimum of like 2 to 3 times a week, and now I've just been doing a lot of at-home work. So I've been doing yoga every morning and every evening, and then I've also been doing, over this last week, a lot of high intensity interval workouts. So yeah, pretty pleased with what it's looking like, and I know in a year things are likely to look even different. But the color is pretty great. Scar placement is pretty great. I'm still working on building up this muscle so that with time the scar is also underneath it, like it is on this side. But yeah, looking pretty good so far. Okay, so I'll move on to the last thing that I have an update about. So a year ago, I had just started I had not just started it. Back in July 2017, I want to say. No, 2018. Yeah, July 2018 is when I started the process for my name change. I was actually really disappointed with how it went. Basically, I started it, and I started the process before I broke up with my ex and moved out from the place that we shared together. I started the process in Maryland, and then I ended up moving to DC. And there was just like a lot of issues with me getting mail and me getting the invoice that I needed to pay in order to go on to the next step of the name change process. Finally got the invoice, finally paid the invoice, and then I was waiting for the certificate of publication, and it kept getting lost, and so I had to pay for it to be sent. I finally got it, went to drop it off at the courthouse, and I asked them if I could change my mailing address because I was in the process of moving back to Maryland, which is where I'm at now. And so I changed the address. I really only wanted to change it for shipping, for mailing. And long story short, they ended up basically dismissing my case because me changing my address, they assumed that I had moved to a different county in Maryland and I had to start all over. So I started over last summer, and what I'm waiting for now is to, what is it? No, I don't think I started over last summer. I started over in the fall. That's what it was. I started over in the fall, and then the quarantine happened and COVID took over. And so what I'm waiting for now is to find out if my motion to not have to publish my name change in a newspaper is going to be accepted, because that was the process that took so long last time. If they waive the requirement to publish my name change in a paper, that means that like at that point they'll just be giving me the court order, and once I have the court order, I'll finally be able to change all of my documents. And so my hope is that by the end of this year, I will finally have my name changed and be able to change all of my documents. So Yeah, that's pretty much it for my updates. I'm doing pretty well, progressing pretty well, and I'm really going to try to do better with posting videos. I do have an idea of something I can post a video on. I got another prosthetic, which I can talk about. If you all are interested in hearing about that, leave a comment below, and I can get on making that content, especially since we have all this time at home. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and take care. Peace.